Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Games on Quick Hotfix. This is our Yakuza showcase. We've had a bunch of runners from the Yakuza community come on and showcase some of the games. We are back with Yakuza 6. I will, hand it over to Froob. I'll let Froob take it from here.
Yeah, hi, hello, me again, sorry. PSCala doesn't commentate runs, so I'm going to be doing the commentary for them whilst they can concentrate on this full run. We'll be doing Rugby, baby. PSCala, if you're on PB pace during this run and you want to keep going for it, although I don't expect so, considering the split you posted earlier, we'll do Rugby, baby after the run, but we will be seeing Rugby, baby today. But PSCala looks ready to go, and I am also ready to go, so if you're ready to go, let us go in 3, 2, 1, go. So, Yakuza 6, this was actually the first Yakuza game in the Dragon Engine. So, there's a few things here and there that are going to be a little different. If you saw the run at GDQ a couple of years ago, things have changed actually a lot in this run, which is really cool. We are going to start off with everybody's favorite, the Yakuza speedrun tutorial. So, we're going to start off with, obviously, fighting up against Nagamo. We intentionally have to do like a guard into a dodge, and then PSCala's going to disappear down a little bit. Oh, actually, no, there's different strats. I don't know these strats. My strats are old. Do the lock on, and then we do the rush combo. We have to do the strong attacks afterwards. Then we have to do this attack, which thankfully PSCala's in this corner for. The double light, double strong attack sometimes misses, and by sometimes it does miss a lot. Then we get the good old extreme heat tutorial. We're going to our extreme heat, and then you can do a extreme heat into a grab into a charge attack by, I believe it's binding heavy attack to mouse wheel. Mouse wheel is really hard to use at 60 FPS. There's like an actual like rhythm to it. It's not like K2 where we alternate between keyboard button and controller. We also get to see all of our friends very briefly. All these people are not in the video game. They are, but exceedingly briefly for some of them. Akiyama's in it a lot, which is nice. But it's just... This is literally set after the events of Yakuza 5, so pretend you saw a Yakuza 5 run that we've been promising all weekend. Just pretend you've seen it. But we're dealing with the fallout from the end of Yakuza 5. Kiryu's going to jail because reasons. And then Haruka, who walked out on the concert, has been reading a whole bunch of really crappy tabloid newspaper articles, and they've been saying, oh, the orphanage is just a front for them to raise members of the Yakuza. They're kids. So you do get to see the kids from the orphanage, as we said. You get to see where they're all at. It's just a nice little segment of like that little like quiet period of the Kiryu that you don't really get to see that often. But obviously we speak to all of them in order, and then we need to phone Akiyama. Akiyama is the phone, which we're definitely not going to be able to find Akiyama because Akiyama is not responding. So we're going to head to Kamurocho because in the last 6 months, Haruka's gone missing. So, surprise. Not actually kidnapped this time, promise. So we're going to head to Kamurocho, and we're immediately going to start running towards Serena and obviously Sky Finance. We get interrupted with a cutscene with good old Date. Date is in this game quite a bit as well, which is nice. And we're going to go to these vending machines. So the vending machines are a new addition beginning with 6. So the way that they utilize the drinks is a little differently than K2. In K2, you actually can have 10 of your drinks in your inventory at any time. In Yakuza 6, as you see, you actually have the drink in your hand. This is going to restrict it so that we can't always get drinks at a certain point during the run. And it's also going to mean that we want to take these drinks at the correct times to make sure we get their full benefits. The first drink that PSCala took was the Green Dakara. That is a stamina drink. If you look in the top left once this cutscene is done, you'll see a little icon of like someone running with an arrow. That indicates how long PSCala is going to have infinite stamina for. That's why these drinks are really, really good. This guy is now going to go to the local Popo. We need a bento in terms of pushing the story forward. It's also good to have because, again, despite this run being on easy, this run's going to get scary. Also grabbing some Towner so we can get heat actions out at times. And before we start this next fight, going to grab a CC Lemon. CC Lemon is a real life drink. In this video game, the CC Lemon is a giant attack. You say either buff or boost, one of the two, not both together. Giant attack buff. It's a real-life drink. Hand it himself. It's fantastic. We get tutorialized on, like, obviously leveling up, so of course we're going to pick attack here. So, the nice thing with these drinks, through certain cutscenes, you can actually, like, keep hold of the drink, as you can see here. Bit of a nasty fight spawn to the right, but thankfully Chris has run this game enough to know that just going to the left here can get around them and avoid them. The nice thing about fight spawns in this and K2, with the early Dragon Engine games, is that they actually have to be quite close to you to start a fight for the most part. But other games in the Dragon Engine, like, not naming names, Judgment, they can start a fight with you from half the map away. So, Fight spawns in 6 are quite nice. We also have the save load method of getting rid of them if they're in a bit of an awkward spot, which there's one or two later on in the run that can be. But by basically holding on to our drink, we're going to be consuming it in a second here for the next fight, which will also last for the rest of what we need for this chapter. Drinks do not carry over between chapters. You do have to get a fresh drink. That's why it's going to be a little bit of an issue when it comes to certain parts of the run. In this cutscene, we meet the Sire Triad. Through one of the early cutscenes, Little Asia burnt, got set on fire. Don't know who did it. It was these guys, actually. So, they moved into Kamurocho. They are basically like the Chinese mafia in a sense, but they're just a small portion here, just chilling in Little Asia. Up to no good. In the cutscene, we meet a guy called Ed. You'll see him soon. I love Ed. He's a giant, like, nasty person, but I actually really love Ed. His theme's fantastic. So... We obviously haven't figured out where Akiyama is, so with this we are going to head to 10kg. Oh, we forgot to ask in nursery. Whoops. Oh no, it's the behind bit. What am I talking about? I'm thinking of a completely different part. I'm thinking of a different chapter entirely. So with this, we go and do this fight at the back. They've taken a Tojo clan member. I am actually thinking of that chapter. They have taken a Tojo clan member hostage. He's back there. He's obviously going to recognize Kiryu in a second, but ideally everybody gets together here to get hit by the bin. They did at the end there, which was nice, but the middle of that was unfortunate. If you're very lucky, you can get all 4 with the first hit, and the other 2 will be, like, together. But usually the guy in the alleyway at the back takes his time, so sometimes it takes all 3 hits. There can be a fight spawn here. Looks like luckily there isn't this time. If there is a fight spawn, if you're lucky enough, you can actually get to these vending machines on the left. Vending machines aren't just good for your drinks, they are also great to be able to despawn enemies, as well as obviously taxis like this. Just any kind of confirmation prompt will either de-aggro or, for the most part, despawn. Those 2 to the right, they're a sub-story. We'll talk about those in a bit. Here's where you give your bento to this nice homeless guy. He's actually helping Akiyama hide. Akiyama, for some reason that we don't know about yet, is being sought after by the Sire Triad. So he's gone into hiding in the sewers with his friends, the homeless, because that's obviously, if you remember Yakuza 4, where he began, he's kept very much in contact and looked after them the entire time. And unfortunately, Kiryu is not exactly very good at being subtle because the Sire Triad had followed him here, and this is Ed. So this guy was going to grab this sign to the left, hopefully hit the majority of the enemies. That's pretty good apart from Ed interrupting and knocking the sign out of their hand a second ago. Other than that, that was a really good start. Ideally, what you want for this bit is for all the enemies to be dead or almost dead. You can then take care of the rest of the enemies here. With that, Ed is now on 1 HP, which means PSK, I believe, is going to be failing this QCE. It's faster. Kind of funny as well. It doesn't look faster because it's got slow motion, but it is very fun. It just demolishes. But the nice thing about this is that you can now just immediately attack Ed and boop. And there goes Ed. Not for the last time. The nice thing about Yakuza 6 is you fight multiple bosses multiple times. Ed you fight twice. There's one boss you fight 4 times. And then most of the other bosses you only fight 3 times. There's only like 2 exceptions, or like 3 exceptions, where you only fight a boss like once. One of which is going to be the next one. But this is the end of the chapter. We learn from Date that Haruka has been found. She's been in an accident. Somebody has hit her with a car in a hit and run. She is in hospital with a baby. And this is her baby because the baby's name is Haruto Sawamura. So in the time that Kiryu's been in jail, Haruka's obviously gotten into an accident, and she's had a kid. Kiryu's obviously a little confused and upset. Gonna grab this drink here to take through this cutscene because somebody is spying on us. This guy. So we're gonna chase after this guy. Fun fact, if you're on base PS4, this bit can end your run. If you look at the bottom right of the screen on base PS4 here, at this crossroad, that guy can stay there in an infinite loop. As someone who ran the base PS4 version of this years and years ago, it was rough. It was very rough. Every other version of the game, bar base PS4. PS4 Pro is fine. Every other version of the game, completely fine. Just base PS4 there is rough. So this guy's actually part of the Tojo as well. Been tasked by a guy called Somiya to keep an eye on Kiryu. So Piscar's going to take a quick look here. I'm going to try a couple of times for a God Taxi by the looks of things. So God Taxi, basically in this game, on certain roads like this one, you can get randomized car spawns. So we like to call these God Taxis because if you can get a taxi there as a spawn, obviously you can take that taxi and then go to the next point without having to go all the way through the Malaysia again, going back to this taxi point that I mistakenly thought of earlier, that we then take to Sojo HQ. So God Taxis are, depending on the God Taxi, you can save so much time. Like, the chance of getting a God Taxi here, I think PS Color worked out here as being something ridiculously low. We're talking like 0.2% or like something like that. It was something ridiculously low. I don't even remember the exact number, but it was very low. We meet Somiya, and we also meet, I think his name is Sugai, I might be wrong with that one, who is taking temporary charge of the Tojo because, stop me if you've heard this one before, Daigo Dojima has been arrested. Daigo, Majima, Saejima, all in jail. Very cheap and easy way to write them out of the story, unfortunately. As we leave Serena, we're going to be jumped on by a group called Justice, spelled Justis. That's intentional. These guys are going to be a pain in the backside later on in this run, but for now, he'll go down to one sign hit. It's very rare that Ozaki actually walks out of the way, but obviously this is a bad sign. Not intended because we were using the sign and we missed it. We're going to move this way very quickly. We're going to get, despite the fact we actually go the other way, we have to go this way so that we get a phone call, or we'll get an introduction to a guy who introduced us to Troubler, obviously based on Tumblr's name. It's a bunch of trouble missions. Part of the only reason you do them is for like the trophy. There's not much attached to them. You get like experience for it. It's not too bad. It's good like side content. Like there's some that's like, you know, a fire's broken out, you have to use a fire extinguisher to put them out, or like there's a bunch of fights you have to do or find a person. Just stuff like that. It's actually kind of neat. It's obviously not utilizing the run because it doesn't give us any rewards that are actually like useful. And obviously going to be taking the CC Lemon. I don't know why we always delay the CC Lemon in this bit, but we always do. There's no reason to, but we always do. We're going to head to Toto Hospital. Basically, Child Protection Services have basically said, you know, Haruto's going to have to be taken into custody because, you know, his mother is been in a hit and run. No one knows where the daddy is. That's Kiryu's mad. So unfortunately, Kiryu decides, you know, he's been through this, Haruka's been through this, he knows, you know, putting Haruto into, you know, like those services isn't going to be good. So unfortunately for Akiyama, he's the only person who can stand in Kiryu's way, and as you can see, he doesn't. That's the Akiyama fight. 2 hits with the car here. Haruto's in the back watching all of this, by the way. 2 hits with the car into just the QTE, and that's the end of that fight. And Date saves the day because Kiryu doesn't know what he's doing with a baby. Somehow Date does. If you've seen this weekend's marathon, you kind of know Date's not the best babysitter, but in this case, he actually is. And with this, we are now going to go to the game's second map. This is Onomichi over in Hiroshima. Going to be getting attack up to 116, and we're going to be getting dash attack. Dash is really, really overpowered in this game. Dash attack is so strong, you'll see it like in a lot of spaces here. But the nice thing about this game is that your good old two-handed weapons, much like your older Yakuza games, are also amazingly overpowered. Taking 2 Taraners there to raise heat to 2 heat orbs so that we can do a couple of things with the bikes in this fight. Here's Nagamo round 2 in the exact spot as Nagamo round 1 earlier. Oh, my internet just had a hiccup there. So with Nagamo, we're going to go into Extreme Heat, and we're going to do the Extreme Heat attacks. We used to grab, when it wasn't the, oh yeah, we're going to do the triple light into double strong combo. That's important. Triple light, double strong allows you to also do that. We used to grab the bikes to the side in the alleyway. But with this, we can go over here, grab the bin, and put Nagano in the trash. Like his actor, who has done some very bad things IRL. The Yakuza devs really know how to pick them. So, we're supposed to go to Kiyomi's bar. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping here real quick. We're going to be grabbing a Shoryu beer. Again, the theme of consuming alcohol in the runs today continues. That's going to get us a counter at the top left. You can see it's a little different than the counter that we had before. That counter is a hit-based counter instead of a time-based counter. So that counter will last for 24 hits rather than, obviously, the time period. Because what we need this attack buff to do is we need this attack buff to last a certain distance rather than time. And by having it on a hit-based one, we can have it carry on. What Piascala also did there was something for making this bit a little faster. By having the game quick save and then loading that quick save, we can then push Ino a bit faster. Ino will just like stop and like turn around to have a small conversation with you. But by doing this saves like somewhere like 5 to 10 seconds. And then we just get a little bit of talk from Ino about like Nagamo, about the town. Nagamo is like kind of like he used to be, you know, better behaved, but since he became a Yakuza, he's become a bit more of a hot shot. Kiyomi used to live in Tokyo. That's important, and that'll be important later. But they used to be like quite tight together, but now Nagamo like acts like he owns the place. Nagamo is a member of the Hirose family. You'll be meeting them very soon. But we have another cool bit of speed tech coming up here. So we have a little bit of a problem. Haruto is crying. Haruto won't calm down, as Kiryu says in the top right. So you have 4 different NPCs, or 5 different NPCs to speak to. The correct one is the one that's furthest away next to this truck. Essentially, much like we have learned from Date, we need to get Haruto some milk. So we're trying to find some milk. We ask this guy who kind of brushes us off and tells us where the pharmacy is. We run over to the pharmacy, and if you've played this game before, you know that we now have a mini game coming up called, which we like to affectionately call Shake the Baby. We're not going to shake the baby. We're going to make a manual save, then load said manual save, and that's going to interact with the timer for Shake the Baby and make it reset. If you're on a harder difficulty, the timer is a lot shorter, but because we're on easy, which again, much like with all the other Yakuza runs, don't discredit this for being an easy run because it's on easy. This one of all runs is very, very hard at times, but because of this, we interact with the timer, we make the timer go on longer, which means we can delay never having to do Shake the Baby. Shake the Baby was a lot slower, again, on the base PS4 version, because the base PS4 version, it was one of those games that had a good fascination with the fact that obviously the DualShock 4 had motion controls. You can probably tell where this is going. Every Shake the Baby interaction was made via motion, and as you can probably guess, it reacts to the slightest of touches, which is terrible. So thankfully, we can just delay that mini game forever and never have to deal with it. But with the Xbox and PC ports, they're now on button pushes, which is really good. It's actually pretty decent if you can get like the best RNG. It's still pretty fast. This guy sucks. He has one of the highest dodge rates in the entire game, despite being just a random dude. He's doing very, very. He's not a productive member of society. He's having a wee on the wall. So essentially, what we want to do is run past him intentionally, so that he attacks us or tries to attack us. Then we grab the flower pot and hit him with the flower pot. By him attacking us, because he's drunk, he has long attack animations, which stops him from dodging and allows us to just hit him. That guy sucks. An awful person. But with that, you can see we've gone down 1 hit 23 on our marker. This is the next God Taxi point. We are hoping that as soon as we step outside, we see either a taxi to the right or to the left. That is a bus. That is not a taxi. Unfortunately, we can't use a bus in the same way as a taxi. Shame. So instead, there is obviously the taxi all the way at the end. But unfortunately, Kiyomi's bar is like right next to us on the left-hand side here. So it's not worth going to go and get the taxi at the very end. Instead, Piascala is just going to drop into this alleyway and just end up on the other side. And once again, continuing the theme of Baseball? I want to go play some baseball. I didn't realize we had so many themes around baseball today. Do you think baseball's going to end? Wait till LED. The nice thing is, we remember to go to Kiyomi's bar, unlike some runners, call for me. And we head over to the taxi because we can go straight over to the roadway station via the taxi, which is a lot faster than walking over there. And this is going to be our next boss fight, and this is the important reason why we need a hit-based drink. When we have Haruto in our hands, we're not allowed to take any drinks, which is a bit weird. Kiryu has one free hand. The Jingai Thunders. You can see Nagamo in front, Yuta and Matsunaga. So that is the running attack. You might recognize Yuta, him, his actor. He is rather familiar if you've ever watched the Battle Royale movies. So PSK is going to run to the side, going to EX up to grab this bin. Or she grabbed the baseball. The baseball can be there. Nagamo's also throwing baseballs in this time. Strong EX attack. Unfortunately, Nagamo is not behaving again. And then thankfully just takes him out. Again, with this, hoping for one of those god taxis. Fortunately, not looking too hot in terms of being able to get one. So once again, we're just going to run over to Kiyomi's. During the daytime now, from this point onwards, Yasuka's going to have to pay very close attention and stick onto this side of the road, because on the other side of the road is going to be the Baseball Manager minigame. But this bit right here, if you remember the very start of the game, that was actually... everything after that point was a flashback. We are now at the exact same point. You can tell via the lamp there. We're now at the exact same point where we started the game at, with the Nagamo tutorial. So with that, we're going to go and find Nagamo. He's been taken by... I forget his name as always. Unbelievable. He gets taken by... the name will roll off my tongue in a minute. I actually genuinely always forget his name. Masazoe, that's the guy. See, told you I'd remember it eventually. He gets taken by Masazoe up to the top of the hill. We're going to have to go and get him back. On the way up, we're going to go grab this safe key, and we're going to go and open this safe over here for a piece of equipment. If you remember the GDQ run, we actually got this one there as well. This is the Bloody Binding. We used to get the Bloody Fundoshi as well, but we have routed that out of the run because we actually, surprisingly, don't need it. As you'll see, we do other stuff instead. CC Lemon, because, you know, pretty obviously, CC Lemon is attack. We also equip the Bloody Binding now. We get met by the Troubler guy again, who's now here in Onomichi. Cool, that's a nice coincidence. It's definitely not going to happen again on this run. And then we're going to go out to the shrine and find Masazoe. For Masazoe, there is a trick to this fight, if you're doing this casually. You do not want to take care of the ads. Well, you do, but not before you've taken care of Masazoe. Masazoe has a mid-fight QTE. It's one of those few mid-fight QTEs that you can actually avoid, because his mid-fight QTE actually revives the enemies. So, by taking care of Masazoe first, you don't get to see his mid-fight QTE, and you don't get the enemies respawn afterwards. With this, we head to the bar. Oh no. On the way through, we're going to pass by the Ebisu here in Onomichi. Buy ourselves the Beads of Good Fortune, which are going to replace the Bloody Fundoshi that we used to equip. Get Collateral and Charge Attack. Collateral works in the way that when you hit an enemy past the first enemy, the rest of the enemies will also take like increased damage as well. And yeah, you'll see the other one later on as well. We head to the bar, and we see that Yuta and Tagashiro or Matsunaga? Tagashiro, I think. They're getting beat up by these quotation marks drunk civilians. Spoilers, they're Yakuza. So, thankfully, you can grab the plant from the corner there. It's a little finicky because if you take the wrong angle, that plant will break, so you have to be a little careful. And we head back to Kiyomi's bar. Komi has been looking after Haruto for us, and then obviously we can just take Haruto back to, obviously, the Navy apartments. We'll obviously go via this way. Keep an eye on that mini-map on the bottom, see if a taxi passes by. It's technically not a god taxi because we can't get to it here, but it is an early taxi, god's taxi spawn, so, you know. We lament it if we see it, because a taxi spawn on this road later on the run would be fantastic. I'm going to go to sleep. See, that attack buff is still at 14, so we still have a lot left, which is good. The spawn attack buff has lasted a very long time. That's not a god taxi. Unfortunately, that's not either. So we're going to have to run for this taxi. I don't know if this guy's doing that on purpose, but dumpy. As to the Yeti for that. So, Piscala, the nice thing about where we're going for the Hirose family office, there is a taxi spot right next to it called Hanano Kubo. So thankfully we can just go straight to there. And we're finally going to get to meet the patrons of the Hirose family. Or, well, get to know them a bit better. So, now that we've kind of settled into the area and they've stopped trying to, you know, fight us all the time, we ask them if they've ever seen Haruka and show them a picture of Haruka, at which point they go, no, definitely not. No way. Absolutely not. They definitely have. So, we also meet Patriarch Hirose, who you won't meet for a little while, but if the name Beat Takeshi rings any bells, yeah. So in this bit, funnily enough, you can actually go down different pathways by taking on like the enemies like you can see ahead of you, but unironically enough, the fastest path is actually the intended path. So we basically follow where Kiyomi would be running. Kiyomi's going to stop because we're obviously going to get quite far ahead. It's a real shame because if we could get past this group of enemies ahead of us, we could skip like another fight here, but unfortunately, yeah, just going the correct way is the right way, sadly. You can see on the left here, there's the cars. You can see on the mini-map that it's just all blocked off, so unfortunately we can't make our way through there. But we will head through the thoroughfare. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, obviously you've seen with the bikes and like signs and stuff, and the bin that you're about to see in a second here. I think it's a bin or a bike, one or two. You'll see that obviously, like, yeah, it's a bin. You'll see that obviously there's a lot of weapons, like your two-handed weapons that are like usually around are unfortunate from these two. Yeah, sometimes you can just get this unfortunate placement where they won't gather together. This last guy is sometimes a pain in the backside. Dash attack. Dash attack, good. But with the inclusion of these weapons on the side, you'll see when we go through the tunnel ahead on the left-hand side, there's a sledgehammer. You also may have seen earlier when Piscala opened the safe that there was a grenade on the floor. The way that Yakuza 6 does its weapons is that it actually puts them on the world before you get into the fight. So there's just grenades lying around, sledgehammers, pistols, as you do. On top of the, it's really weird, on top of the mall section there is actually a pistol on the roof. Can't tell you why. It's just there. So we go to Runan Shrine. We're going to leave Haruto with Kiyomi. And we're going to head back to Morino. We want to apologize for, obviously, kind of getting in the middle with, you know, Master Zoe and all of that. So, gonna taxi. Again, we can get a nice little time save here if you get a good god taxi, but fortunately not. If Piscala's drink rate was any lower, they would be getting a fresh beer here. But with 9 hits left, that's way more than enough for what we need. And when we enter, we're going to see them cleaning up after the previous day. We're going to find Matsunaga is building a model boat of the Yamato. I'm sure that's not going to come back later. Takashiro and Yuta. This is the only time you fight Takashiro. Fight Takashiro. So again, much like earlier, a neat little thing is that Takashiro actually has a bit more defense than Yuta. But by hitting him at least once, then obviously doing the QTE, they both go down to 1 HP. You can see all these attack buffs that we've got, especially the drinks, are just helping us out a lot. So, boost attack all the way up as far as it can go. We got to find Matsunaga, and this is going to be Master Zoe. 3 hits left, so we're going to grab fresh beer. And you'll see ahead of Piscala, there is a bunch of enemies. And on the right-hand side, bike. And also a cone. Cone is there as a just in case. But once again, much like the previous Master Zoe fight, it is super important that you make sure that Master Zoe obviously gets taken out first, or relatively early in the fight. You can take out a couple of the ads, but usually Master Zoe behaves. He's not behaving right now. There we go. With the cone broken, unfortunately, dash attacks or throwing people This is a very, as you can see, legit strat in Yakuza 6, and it's one of the reasons why, like, it actually makes it into a bit more of a unique run. Throwing people in this game is a very, very viable strategy. It does a lot of damage, as you can see. That's a god taxi. Well, there's our first nice taxi. Saves us from having to go up to the top where you would have seen somebody you saw earlier in Saigo. Obviously, Akiyama's. You'll get to see him later on. Obviously, Akiyama's moved to from Yakuza 4. He's chilling up there. He is one of 2 sub-stories that you need to do to unlock Amon in this game. The other one we will see later on. Technically, you need to do a 3rd sub-story, because the 3rd sub-story is blocking the 2nd. We'll describe that later when we get there. Now we get into a little bit of downtime. We are going to be heading over to the middle of the map, where Justice are going to turn up again, because Kala needs a drink that is going to last a long time. So once again, no CC Lemon, just hit-based beer. That thing as well, didn't mention this about drinking the beer, fills your heat to max. This fight should be hopefully nice. Yep, they behaved. Sometimes they can walk away from each other, kind of rare, but dash attack, as we said, dash attack good. And then we get into everybody's favorite, the ever wonderful clan creator. This minigame is the bane of Kiwami 2 runners. But in Yakuza 6, it's actually quite nice. So, K2's clan creator, which came after this one, acts as a tower defense. This one is more attack the point, which, that guy up there, he's the point. So we have to take care of all of the enemies in this, which looks like a lot, but technically you only need 3 people to actually take care of this bit. So Piazcala is going to deploy the first person here. Intentionally, we want to get all the enemies gathered, but more importantly, the guy in the green tank top there, he has to move away from this guy. One of our units, Joe, this guy that Piazcala is bringing out now, has a move, you can see, called the ultimate drop kick. As you can probably guess, pretty good. So whilst they deal with all the rest of the enemy, this guy's keeping a very close eye to make sure that Joe drop kicks final back. And there he goes. And the others are taking care of the enemy. And thankfully, Joe actually behaved this time and kicked the guy. Sometimes Joe decides not to kick that guy, which is a pain in the backside. So 429 is pretty good. You get a nice... You don't get Majima construction, unfortunately, but you do get this nice outro. Didn't realize we had so many people. I like both versions of this casually, but as a speedrunner, this one is so much better. So we're basically trying to get Joe's sister back. She's in the back left there. Yeah. The nice thing about this fight is that these enemies are coordinated with the enemies that you see in this minigame. So the grey guys have guns, the green tracksuit guys are your tanks, and everybody's disappeared because Kiryu has a sign, as per usual. That's one of the big reasons why you need a hit-based drink to carry on here. That is also a cameo right there for some wrestlers from the NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, featuring people such as Yano Toru and Okada, the Rainmaker. This boost attack as high as it can go. Scrolling to go and get ourselves a vending machine drink upgrade or 2. This is something that is unique to Yakuza 6. This is going to make it so that with every instance of vending machine upgrade, the base stats of whatever like kind of stat drink you take, like your attack ups, go up a little bit. I think it's like 5% or something like that. But more importantly, it extends the duration of all-time drinks every level by 30 seconds. So obviously when we get all the vending machine drink upgrades, we will get an upgrade total time of an extra 2.5 minutes for all of your timed drinks, and especially CC Lemon. I passed a sub-story there, which is Munancho, folks. It's the follow-up to the good old cult storyline that began in 0 and made an appearance in... I want to say it was either K1 or K2. I should know, I run K2 all sub-stories. Been a long day. But we finally go and meet Kiyomi, and Somiya turns up. You haven't actually seen Somiya yet. You'll get to see him real soon. Somiya takes Kiyomi away, and Nagamo is in a bit of shock about that. So we're going to hatch a very big plan to get her back. Once again, beat Takeshi, playing the role of haha, funny grandpa. If you've ever seen any, media with beat Takeshi, that's not true. So Big set piece. Yakuza 6 has a lot of set pieces, and they're all really cool. This guy's going to go and grab this plant, two-handed, wide range, massive damage, absolutely perfect. And then if there's enough enemies alive, would have grabbed another one, but thankfully, quite a lot of them are gone. And as you can see, your NPC allies in the Dragon Engine are actually kind of useful. They actually do help you out a fair bit, which is nice. The damage is also pretty decent as well. So, for this set piece, PSK is going to have to enter every single room. There is a story trigger inside of every room. There are also sometimes enemies. With the enemies, if there's one of them alive, you can sometimes leave them to Nagamo. Obviously, if it's the last room, you might not want to leave that to chance. But especially with the early rooms, as long as they're these smaller enemies, you can leave them to Nagamo. You can technically leave the larger ones to Nagamo if you've hit them with your dropkick. This is where collateral is also starting to come into play. Even though it's like one extra enemy, with hitting like both of them, especially with the large lads coming up with the collateral, that's doing like damage to them as well, which is useful. And then we just go up to the next floor. So this is where we're going to start to get large lads. We call them large lads because they are larger. These enemies usually have a bunch of like hyper armor. They can usually interrupt your attack. Here they are here. Take care of the first one. Second one is a bit of a pain. Their HP is quite large. You can get lucky. Yeah, Nagamo is going to hopefully, fingers crossed, deal with that one. You can sometimes get lucky, as you saw with the first floor, where Piascala was able to kick the sofa towards the enemy. Looked like Nagamo finished them off there, actually. That's kind of nice. These two are in a much nicer position to be hit together, which is good. The angles for Nagamo. Okay. You literally had 1 HP. That's all you had to do. Runs die here because of Nagamo. Thanks, Nagamo. Appreciate it. So, that's the reason. Exactly a perfect example of why you do not trust Nagamo sometimes. He deals better with the smaller enemies than the larger enemies, but it was the right decision to leave him for the larger enemy there because why should he have HP? Thanks, Nagamo. So, we're going to do the RGG thing of everybody stays behind while we go upstairs alongside Nagamo. Thanks, Nagamo. And then this bit's going to be different depending on whether you are running on base PS4 or console and PC. Higher FPS means that you cannot utilize the plant that's in the corner. Instead, we're going to have to use the bench because of 60 FPS and higher. PSK is also doing some strong attacks because that will make sure that that does not break. Thank you very much, physics of the Dragon Engine. But we're still looking for Somia. You will get to see him soon, I promise. Like, within the next minute. These dudes are buff. These dudes are very buff. Sauna's good. We think we have found the guy. No. Poor guy. Gonna send him in the bath. So the nice thing is the bench that Piascala has is gonna take over from the previous room into after this cutscene, as you'll see. Magically appears. Pop. Which is nice for Kikuchi. Kikuchi has high HP bar. Here you just want to kind of like hope that they like gather up, and they did gather up reasonably nicely. And there we go. And with that, Nagamo is going to do something stupid. Walk in the sauna, take his mask off because it's really hot, right in front of Somia. But this is the fabled Somia we have been talking about for like the last 30 minutes. Make note that he doesn't have any ink on his back. It's part of Somia's philosophy of how modern day Yakuza should be, in that they don't need ink to show how powerful or their status, but it should be money instead. But it is an interesting character. So you can see at the top left, very little bit of attack left over, thanks Nagamo. So going to EX for a little bit of an attack boost. Hit people with the plant, hoping the other large HP enemy would come over here, which, nope, Beyblade! We got a Beyblade! So, what you saw very briefly there was an enemy spinning into the sky. You can see them kind of stuck in the wall there. The PC version of this game is wonderful. For some reason, enemy ragdolls can spin. We call it Beyblading because they spin like a Beyblade and they go up to space. Absolutely wonderful. Always a treat to get a Beyblade, and I was hoping we'd get a Beyblade in this run, which we did. Fantastic. Now we go over to the Somiya fight. Beyblades are at random, but they are so good later. They are absolutely fantastic. Always have to be hyped when a Beyblade shows up. The words are hard tonight, folks. So, going to utilize this heat attack. Takes Somiya down to half HP, which puts him into the second phase of the fight. You have to be a little careful with Somiya coming into the second phase, because Somiya has a couple of iframes. The triple light into the double strong. Usually that will make sure that it connects onto Somiya. Good fight. With about the halfway point of this run, enemies are going to start blocking the extreme heat attacks unless we do specific ones, which is one of the reasons why we do the triple light double strong. That one doesn't get blocks. It's really nice. It's also obviously one of the ones that does like the most damage, which is good. So big, I don't know how I sum this up in a reasonable amount of time. Big plot stuff. The Yomei Alliance, who's the big kind of Yakuza in this part of the world, they want to go into a alliance with the Tojo clan with Kiryu here. Somiya's like, hey, good timing, you're gonna see over our deal. At which point Kiryu's like, no. Kiryu's basically just like, he's not part of the Yakuza anymore. Here's our old friend, Saigo. Go away, Saigo. But essentially, the Yomei Alliance threaten Kiryu and say, well, go away, Joe. Don't talk to us about Clan Creator. The Yomei Alliance basically go and say, you know, well, if you don't oversee this deal between us and the Tojo, we're just going to go to, you know, the Omi Alliance. Ooh. Kiryu still says, no, leave me alone. Because, you know, he's literally done with the Yakuza. He doesn't want a part of it anymore. So, Piascala has to do a bit of an enemy despawn there, because there was a nasty fight spawn ahead. Then going to grab the CC Lemon. The CC Lemon with the vending machine drink upgrades is going to last long enough for what we need it to do over the course of this chapter. So you can see that we are back here with both Nagamo and Yuta in Kamurocho. It's the first time they've been to the big city. The reason why we are here is because Kiyomi has given us an idea that Haruto's daddy, might actually be a friend of Yuta's, a host, or someone that came to Kamurocho to become a host. I think his name's Tatsukawa. I might be wrong on that. It's been a while. So we're going to go over, if ever we need to like learn about hosts and stuff, to our old friends at Stardust. Unfortunately, when we get to Stardust, this hot man appears. God, he's hot. This is Jungi Han, member of the Jingwon Mafia. Name might be familiar if you remember OG2 from yesterday. As the loading screen suggests, the Jingwon never forgive and the Jingwon never forget. So unfortunately, the Jingwon have taken over Stardust. They bought it off of Kazuki, and we basically find office worker Yuya. Piascala's intentionally getting into a fight here with these enemies. This is going to make it so that Piascala can take a weapon into the next fight. I haven't guessed already, this is a very fast-paced run, by the way. Very little downtime so far, other than Clan Creator. If you are unable to get this bike, there are bikes on the side of this, but with this bike, we can take out the first 3 enemies really quickly here, which is useful. And this is another one of those fights where, again, grabbing people and throwing people, as you can see, is really good. Yakuza 6 is fantastic at that. Like, speedrun tech or not, it is absolutely fantastic. And love the ragdolls. Absolutely love the ragdolls just jumping off the floor. Oh, that's unfortunate. That can happen. Interestingly enough, with normal Yakuza enemies and the Jingwon Mafia, they actually don't have that much in terms of dodge, but the Sayao Triad enemies dodge a lot. It's really interesting how they actually have, like, almost different personalities depending on, like, which enemies you fight. Either way, we're going to go over to Stardust. On the fly in Tetsukawa. Fight spawn here is fine. This is an area trigger. And Jungi Han's made some, you know, adjustments to Stardust. Opened up the bottom to be, you know, a bit of a house of pleasure and installed, you know, a wrestling ring. Because why not? So we do the usual EX into absolutely demolish Jungi Han. You have to see, as with most bosses, their mid-fight QTE. Again, Masazoe is the exception. And Nice back jump into forward. Jungi Han, you okay, bud? No, no, I don't think Jungi Han's okay. Okay. I'm sure he's fine. So, with that, after Jungi Han beats up Yuya before that fight, we're going to head to find the Oka building, which is just off Seiryu Avenue. We are going to have to run past this sub-story. We would have to interact with this sub-story at some point anyway. This sub-story is about the Snake Flower Triad. You might recognize them if you remember K1's run the other day. But we don't actually interact with the sub-story anymore. We just have to watch a garbage bag explode. When we get to the apartment building, we're going to find that the person that we're looking for kinda dead. Kinda been murdered by a man that goes by the name of Ed. I'll deal with Ed again. So whilst like a lot of the stuff you've seen here with the upgrade route has been different from obviously the previous GDQ run, we have a really cool piece of speed tech coming up in this chapter. We'll see it when we get to the set piece. So obviously we get the download from Date about obviously Ed causing that murder. Heading back to Serena. Very, very unlucky here with the fight spawn just in front of the taxi. Weirdly enough, on base PS4, the game struggles to load so much that the fight spawn can be in front of this taxi, but it doesn't load in properly, allowing you to get the taxi. It'd be a real shame if Joe followed us to Kamurocho for clan creator. Go away, Joe. Thanks. Joe's going to take us to the M-Side Cafe. We're just going to jump out the window. Go away, Joe. We're not doing clan creator. What do you think this is? All sub-stories? Don't even do that in all sub-stories. Leave us alone, Joe. So on the way back, Piscala is going to grab fresh CC lemon at some point. Or on the way out, one or two. We do need some CC lemon. This one's better to do because if you do the CC lemon from the previous vending machine, you can actually have that spawn point in front of you like 90 to 95% of the time. It's a pain in the backside. Not good. So they're sad about their friend being dead. So whilst they're moping around in Serena, Kira's gonna waltz off the sewers, find Akiyama again. I guess we don't need CC Lemon anymore for this. This is how behind on the run I am. The nice thing about this run is that all the taxis that you have to take are, like, all the spots in the story that you have to take taxis for are relatively close to each of them. So again, remember that sub-story we talked about, that one on the right? That one in this park is blocking a final fight in the second sub-story that you need to go fight Amon. I will point that out in this chapter because we're actually going to walk by it in a bit. It's product placement that is unavoidable. Either way, once again, the Star Triad followed Kiryu. Well, actually, I think they followed Akiyama here, but yeah, they came up behind Kiryu, as you can probably guess. This fight's nice and simple. There are some metal sheets to the left. Big, two-handed, wide hit, easy peasy. With that, homeless friend of Akiyama's is going to tell us that he can get in contact with Akiyama for us. Akiyama's going to contact us soon. So he's going to head down here. We'll get a phone call from Akiyama who says to meet at the Apple Hotel, which is thankfully right in front of us. He says Ed should be in Little Asia. That's where, again, the trusts are trial. So we're going to be into a forced walking section here. There is unfortunately not much we can do about it. Ignoring those enemies, of course. Once again, Kiryu kind of realizes at this point, maybe I'm being followed. And decides to go down this alley to shake off whoever's actually following him. He actually learned. Proud of him. Very proud of him.
He's got to learn eventually, right?
Yeah. Taking 10 photos. Gets you a little bit of EXP in the completion list. I'm not sure if going first person in this game is faster like it is in Lost Judgment or not. In Lost Judgment, it's because you're going upstairs, so it's probably not faster. It's probably the same. Thankfully, in this alleyway, hey, a bunch of two-handed weapons, like the sign. Like the sign. Chat, anybody want a gym membership to a really expensive gym? Y'all should pick Rise App. I don't know why I'm suddenly saying Rise App all of a sudden. Oof. So this sub-story right here, this is the introduction to a new set of stuff, new set of features in Yakuza 6. You can do training here. You can raise your stats here as well quite high because you can buy some protein and stuff like that. We're not going to choose to become a member of Rise App. Multiple reasons. This is the second sub-story to get Amon. When you do this sub-story, when you leave, you get to see good old friend Sadachi from the Sadachi Dojo. So, remember Yakuza 4 from yesterday? That's the guy. Sadachi's third fight, or his final fight even, that's the one that's blocked in the park by the other sub-story. Once you've done the final fight against Sadachi and Saigo, you get a text from good old Amon. So you can do the Amon fight real early in this game. Like very, very early. Fingers crossed for God Taxi coming out of here. Saves you a little bit of time from having to run towards the taxi in the top left. Unfortunately not. Over to the taxi we go. You do get a little bit of an attack buff from doing... What's hard? You do get a little bit of an attack buff from doing the Rise App training, but it takes too long for it to be of any use in the run, and it only lasts for one fight. So unfortunately, it wouldn't last for like an entire set piece, unfortunately. Still wondering about that. It does only last for one fight. A whole bunch of attack upgrades up to 160. Gonna need a little bit more damage for this next part, but with this next part, we're gonna do some brand new speed tech that hasn't been seen at the previous GDQ showings, either the GDQ show or the hotfix that PS Kala did before. Taxing on over to the Millennium Tower. Thankfully, by the Millennium Tower is a blue vending machine with some CC lemon in it. So, hands up in chat. How many of you all like Akiyama? Akiyama's a pretty good character, huh? It'd be a real shame if we were about to despawn him from existence.
What?
Yep. This is the Akiyama glitch. I'm fairly confident PS Kala was the one who figured all of this out. I'm going to get pushed forward by Akiyama here. That's a nice push, actually. Thanks, Akiyama. Holding the drink until we get to about the vending machines. PS Kala's going to take the drink, go in the corner, save, not look at our lovely photos that we just took, walk into Akiyama, which is going to push Akiyama and PS Kala into the set piece, wait for the UI to come back, then going to load that previously made save. Now, pay close attention to the minimap in the bottom corner. You'll notice that Akiyama's inside. His car is going to walk into the cutscene again, then load up one more time. This is important, otherwise it's not going to work. Gets through that cutscene. There you go. Allows us to carry on into this cutscene, and where's Akiyama? Anyone? Anyone?
Sure.
Anyone seen Akiyama? Because RGG certainly haven't since the ending of this game. Boom. Moving forward, Kiryu is going to be now going through the rest of the set piece, and because we don't have Akiyama in front of us, we actually just get to walk forward. Like, it's actually amazing how much time this saves. Like, it saves a lot of time. So we get to go forward. Now a ghost is going to open this door. Whoa. Oh, no wonder the chef is angry. Random ghost opening his door. This is Yang, who also appears in LAD's business section. Thanks, Yang. But yeah, Akiyama's supposed to be here and talk to us, but no. And because Akiyama doesn't exist, we can just walk forward here, and the chef never turns around to actually catch us. We can just walk straight through the door. I'm going to head upstairs into our next fight. And we're going to answer the burning question that chat probably has. Where in the world is Akiyama? On our head the entire time. You didn't see him, chat? He was right there. Whole time. Anyway, here's the chef. Take care of the chef, because the chef is a problem. The charge attack takes care of the two ads. Sometimes they don't walk close enough and you have to deal with them again here, but we can keep running. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to deal with that chef again. Just one more time. Everyone here is just enjoying their lunch, waiting for their food, and just Mask Kiryu jumps through the window. Fun fact, I managed to get the sword here from the previous fight in this room, and it broke because of the physics engine of the dragon engine. So, running forward, extreme heat. Nice cleaver? What happened to his knife? Alright, goodbye. I'm going to tell the chef to go get a desk job instead. Go all night, folks. I am going all night. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, Akiyama's not here again. Sorry. We lost him again. Temporal vortex in the universe. He's just gone. Which is great, because this cutscene still plays out, but there's no audio from Akiyama at all. He's just not here. So, doing a drop kick to fall down a bit quicker. Going to be grabbing this healing item, Stamina XX. This will be useful for later on in the run. A whole bunch of dudes, room, a whole bunch of chairs and tables. First thing we do, grab this guy, spin him around. One guy with a very, very large HP bar. Hopefully he does not attack us and hit us to the ground. Did the extreme heat there to make sure we grabbed the chair afterwards with a light attack to make sure we don't get knocked down. The issue here with this fight, as you can see, with how aggressive these enemies can be, you can just get, oh, this guy's AI just didn't work at first. This can happen sometimes. You'll very much see it later on. But with the aggression of the enemies in this part, they can all kick chairs and tables towards you. It's a little scary. And during this whole thing, we finally found Ed's office. Ed was just chilling. I love that. Now you get to hear Ed's theme. It's called Bombs. This is a very, very good theme. So, do the usual. Grab Ed. Punch him. Ed is now on 1 HP, which means we now need to wait for Ed to finish the fight. It's going to take a while. It also has a little bit of A-frames at the start of that phase. This bit's kind of weird. In the console version, as soon as you hit Ed there, he actually goes to the final phase. For the PC version, that doesn't happen, and Ed can get back up and be more aggressive. So we actually use a heat attack there to tell the game, hey, it's on 1 HP, come on. Go to the end, please, thank you. At which point, there's Nagamo. If you look on the right-hand side, back in existence, there's Akiyama. For real this time. Maybe. Now, Ed starts really aggressive in the PC version again. In the console version, Ed just kind of sits there. In the PC version, no, Ed just runs at you. So you do have to be a little careful not get attacked. A couple of the enemies in here for example, are actually genuinely annoying. So you do have to be a bit careful of them. That was nicely dealt with. It's very nicely dealt with. But that's the end of the chapter. A whole bunch of plot happens. Masazoe turns up. This guy turns up. His name's Big Lo. Not related to Big Bo from Binary Domain. But that cutscene's blue because it was in the past, and they actually start speaking Chinese, at which point Yuta reveals that he actually knows what they said. Yuta actually knows Chinese. They were talking about Heihaizi, which that's a real term, actually, Heihaizi. Do a little bit of an upgrade here, gonna boost our attack as much as it can go. Do a bunch of vending machine drink upgrades, and then speak to Akiyama to start the next part. Here's Somia. Somia's all like, you know, we should probably have a talk, but hey, let's go to Shangri-La. He wants there to not be a war between the Sayao Triad and the Tojo, and he's come to us to try and, you know, facilitate things, make sure things go well, and to go take him to Bigelow, and you know the drill. Bigelow is the head of the Sayao Triad. This CC Lemon is very, very precise. The CC Lemon needs to be held as long as possible to go fast in this bit. So this bit does need to be relatively smooth. This is good old Shangri-La, still busted as of today. So, start with dash attack. Nice dodge on that guy. There's going to be a whole bunch of barricades like this. These always require a two-handed weapon. No matter whether you hit the thing or throw it at them, as long as it's hit with a two-handed weapon. That bit's really weird. You have to be very careful with the light there, because the light can actually break the sledgehammer in your hand. And say hello to the person that's been living at the bottom of Shangri-La for who knows how long. This is Hangman. Don't ask, we have no response. He's just having a good time. So, a little bit of a pattern coming up. It's different on PC and console. Wait for the first rock to go by, and then just go past. First one's nice and easy. To get a nice angle here, you can take care of both of those with one kick sometimes, but it depends on like hitboxes and stuff. Hey, Blade. Good. Very good. So for this one, want to shimmy forward until the second rock hits you. Then, oh, actually, I think it hit early. I think it did actually hit early. Oh, damn. You might be wondering what happens if you get hit here and fail the mash. You fall down and have to fight Hangman, which at this point, we're going to have to fall down and fight Hangman. You might be wondering why we don't just do that. Unfortunately, he has to pull Somia down. So if you were to fall down and fight Hangman, you would have to go back up, go over, fall down, do the fight again. I think, was that Somia that just interacted with Hangman there? Because that's very unfortunate. Thanks, Somia. This wall breaks down. We climb up. There are 4 enemies around this corner. There's a very precise angle for hitting all 4 of these with jump attack. Nice. And break part of this and jump across. Through the narrow gap, there's going to be some barrels on the other side that can be utilized to just demolish these guys. Doesn't matter if, like, 2 of them get taken out. You can actually use, like, the last hit against this barricade. And as PS Carla found out the other day, we can use the Lost Judgment Shimmy. So when you get onto bits like this, if you just spam the direction that you want to go, you kind of shimmy across a lot faster than if you were to hold the direction. Large guy on the right with a big HP bar. Take him out. Take care of the rest. Ag buff is still looking good at this point. At the very bottom, Hangman is still chilling out down there. For now. And this room is kind of frustrating. You've got a couple of like large HP enemies, and obviously a mini boss-esque guy in Yoniyama. So obviously going to be just cleaving through them with good attacks. Amano here doesn't actually kind of like load his AI. And again, as we said, you can use any two-handed weapon to be able to break these barricades. So even though the game wants you to use the sledgehammers, ow. At which point, one of the big reasons as to why we wanted to hold our attack buff as long as possible is going to rear his head. We'll see. On the ceiling, somehow, despite the fact he was on the floor a second ago, is Hangman. Hangman because he's just, you know, hanging out. Sorry, I am here all night. The nice thing is getting through there, like, pretty much flawlessly is going to allow us to have our attack buff last until Somia. And make the Somia fight a lot faster as well. Down and out so that we can just go straight into EX. Interestingly enough, there's a couple of weapons in here. If you need, there's a table on the left-hand side, there's a bottle on the right. Weapons, because this is the first Dragon Engine game, again, you have to see Phase 2. Weapons in the Dragon Engine are at least in 6, a curious thing. Most weapons in this game have free durability, with a couple of exceptions. Bottles are one of those exceptions, because they have one blunt attack into 3 blade attacks. Another exception to that rule is benches, which are going to become very useful in a minute. Benches have 3 normal hits and then 3 broken hits. Really nice. So, we get a bit of an alarming phone call that Patriarch Hirose has disappeared along with Haruto. So it's time for us to go back to Onomichi. Shot some CC Lemon beforehand. And back to the good old CC Lemon again. CC Lemon being the best attack drink. And counter. It's going to be very useful for later on. You can't see it here. There is a fight ahead of us. This is going to be a set piece. As we've said all weekend, RGG loves their set pieces that take place in the city. This is one of them for Onomichi. So, gonna grab the first guy. Spin around, hopefully take care of a bunch of enemies. At this point, going to hope that Nagamo and Yuta take care of the enemy. If not, the other enemies will follow behind PS Calma, and that will still be okay, because there'll be a chance to take care of them in a second. But usually, Yuta and Nagamo are decent enough to take care of the enemy. These two, thankfully, don't activate straight away, so they stay in a position that you can just drop kick. We do need all the enemies dead for the end of this bit spawning the last set of enemies, though. But we are hoping that Nagamo and Yuta, you know, do good, do their job. And thankfully, you see we have a big sign, a bunch of enemies right in front of us. Most taken out, anyone left will be taken out with a dash kick. Yep, just checking, the other enemies are dead. No need to run backwards. This is a really cool cutscene of Kiryu staring down a car. Not the last time either. But as mentioned, benches. 2 very conveniently placed benches. 3 hits into 3 hits. A couple of enemies you can see with HP bars. Once they're dead, the danger of this fight is pretty much gone. The issue that Nagamo is running to is this guy, Muto. As said, in a couple of the Dragon Engine games, in some fights, you just get an enemy whose AI doesn't activate, and for this game, that guy pretty much never has his AI activate. Pretty weird. He does after like a set period of time, but he'll just stand there for a long time. That's why we go after him early. Try and end the fight a bit closer to this alleyway. With this, we are going to get a bit of backstory on Kiyomi. Kiyomi, the reference earlier that she was in Tokyo once, that's because Kiyomi's ex-husband is Somia. They have a child together. So she's obviously moved back here and they are no longer together. So, in this bit, you have a choice of 4 people to speak to. Every single one of them gives you a different possible location that Patriarch Hirose, aka Beat Takeshi, could be. We speak to Nagamo, who is the wrong answer. That's because Nagamo has the faster dialogue. But the correct person is actually Yuta. Yuta says he's probably over at the family office. He's not, but we will get a clue there as to where he is. The vending machine there was used to despawn enemies. You have to go to the door first, find it's locked, use the ladder to get upstairs, and you'll see in the room there is a matchbox. And that matchbox has a address on it, or like address, a club called Snack Hourglass, which is a local club. I'm gonna go over there right now. So then we step outside. Oh boy! Or the Yomei Alliance. So the Yomei Alliance are actually operating under a guise of shipbuilders. So kind of the shipbuilders are like the cover for like the biggest Yakuza from this side of like Japan. It's genuinely more important than that. Like Iwami Shipbuilding, named after the president, Iwami. Iwami Senior, or Junior. Oh yeah. Talk about the Iwami soon. But with this, we go to Snack Hourglass. The Snack Hourglass is over here. Taxi up to this bit would be nice. And no got taxi. So just normal taxi. We're supposed to go to Runan Shrine. You can see on the map you could potentially get to a closer taxi point at the top. It's actually blocked off. You have to go this way because, hey, surprise, it's a boss fight. This is Koshimizu. He was on the boat earlier, trying to help broker the deal. So, Koshimizu, he's gone. Again, you have to see everybody second part of their QTE. The nice thing is Koshimizu has no iframes after his Feel the Heat. Or after his this cutscene, I should say. So, oops. Good old funny grandpa. Still being funny grandpa. So, funny grandpa here kind of drops the bombshell that that cutscene earlier, where everyone was like, wow, we don't know Haruka. Yeah, someone was lying. All of them. Somebody was very lying. Yuta is the baby daddy. Oh boy. So Kiryu's a little mad. And thankfully, these random assailants, and definitely not the Jingwon Mafia, turn up. Couldn't tell they will have the usual RGG Korean names for the Jingwon Mafia. I don't know if we're going to do it here or after the run. Find out. We're doing it here, folks. We always have to do this, of course. It is Rugby, baby. Enjoy.
얘들아 잡아라! 저쪽이다! 꽃이야!
That last pass was definitely an illegal pass.
Nice, good old Rugby, baby. And of course, it's the Jingle Mafia, so Jungi Han turns up. Goodbye, Jungi Han. Kinda. He does have a second face. Ish. Kinda. There goes Jungi Han. Fight 2. Not the last. See him again real soon. Alright, with this. Unfortunately, the Jingwon and Jungi Han have managed to get Haruto, do a big bunch of attack upgrades, and lunge. Coming down these stairs, we'll get interrupted. Yuta's now with us. We're going to go to the Hirose family office. Yuta's obviously feeling a little confused about the whole, you know, he's the baby's daddy. He knows he is. Kiryu's kind of mad, as you probably guess. There's someone who's even more, actually angrier. Nagamo. So Nagamo kind of, you know, gives him a nice stern talking to. AK punches him through a door. And with that, Yuta's now going to just sulk for a tiny while whilst we head to the docks because we're going to go and get Haruto back. Rough fight spawned. Thankfully, that little bit of interaction there, for some reason on that road, like, it de-aggroes them. Unfortunately, with the position that they're in for safety, they need to be taken care of because they're too close to the vending machine. Should be an instant fight if they see you in time, unfortunately. So Yuta actually does pluck up the courage and decides, I want to be a dad. Doubt. So we're all going to do this big, long set piece. It's on one of the, it's one of the shipyards that's out there. Again, grabbing enemies, picking them up and throwing them is a very viable strategy in this game. Like, we actually really like this. Really nice. Dash attack. Using the pipe as well earlier, obviously. These barricades take 5 hits from punches or 3 hits from a weapon. So ideally, we will have weapons to be able to take care of most of these barricades. Oh, is it actually Kiryu? I thought it was Nagamo. I've been giving Nagamo too much credit this entire time. So, thankfully, the allies here usually deal with the enemies that are on the right-hand side. Yeah, well, my weekend's not over either. So we do something a bit silly here, where we do the lunge down to make it so we can get to the bottom a little quicker. We also used to, the way we used to do that is we used to do a quick step cancel. That can get you killed. Fall in the water. Kiryu doesn't know how to swim. RGG protagonist can't swim. Ask Yagami. So for this bit, gonna be explosive barrels rain down on us by, I believe his name is Yon, until we take care of enough enemies that he jumps down with us. So it's kind of going to be grabbing all of these two-handed weapons on the side to clear up as many of the enemies as possible. It's you, actually. There they are. Thankfully, in extreme heat, you can't die. And that's actually very important for this next part coming up. Yeah, we have a phone call from Jungi Han. I don't know how he has our number, but he does. He's just like, oh, I am evil. Ha ha ha, I've got Haruto. Ha ha ha. He basically wants Yuta to, like, kind of disband the Syotrad, because, oh yeah, that's another aspect of this we haven't mentioned yet. Because Yuta is apparently Bigelow's other son, and because Bigelow's other son, Jimmy Lowe, dead, probably because of, from what we know, the Tojo cough. Ooh, that's scary. Unlucky. So this is kind of death strats. PSCon didn't have the EX, excuse me, to be able to survive. Thankfully, it does start us after the phone call, so you don't lose too much time. But with EX, as you'll see here, and the fact that, you know, you don't die, Piascala can just kick these barrels down to initiate the explosion, and you'll see Piascala will not die here. Obviously, not say how much damage this time, somehow. But location of yourself compared to big giant explosions, I suppose. But Piascala also manually cancels out of the EX there to make sure that they have enough EX for this bit. Well, not this bit, the bit after, sorry. This bit, there's normal enemies. Hopefully get all of them, although unfortunately that guy decided not to play nice. But that's where all these containers coming from, by the way. Just the sky. And this is our def strats for this bit, where Piascala is going to go into EX. Oh my goodness. And just run forward, at which point they're going to start kicking barrels, which is going to cause the chain explosion. Takes care of, literally, the vast majority of all enemies. This panda says, yeah. You remember Dead Souls, Kiryu is very much immune to explosions. So, two-handed weapons break barricades in one hit. That's an important distinction, and the reason why you pick up the metal sheet there. Then we're going to go up to see Yon. Dude, this guy likes to pick up explosive barrels, so just be careful of that. So do we. that's the other issue. So do we. Not actually dead. I know everybody likes to meme. The guy, you can actually see him on the left-hand side here. If you stand around, you see that he is breathing. Man is not actually dead. Let's lunge over for speed. So we find out that Tatsukawa was actually the one that hit Haruka in the hit and run. And we have one final fight against Jungi Han. Shingo Mafia's final flourish, eh? That says otherwise. Jungi Han might recognize this tune by now. By Jungi Han. That is the last time we fight Jungi Han. 3 total time. Right. So with this, unfortunately, Jungi Han gets shot by someone. Also, Master Zoe's dead body floats up the river. So essentially, somebody is killing certain members off that know about this supposed secret of Onomichi, which starts to get mentioned around about this point. So we're going to be heading back. Yuta has decided to make amends. He wants to go back to Kamurocho and speak to his dad, Big Log, in an attempt to stop them chasing after him and Haruto as the heirs of the Sayao Triad. Unfortunately, no gold taxi here, so just going to have to run forward. And we're going to go back to Kamurocho by speaking to Yuta. At which point, Yuta's going to become a dumbass. Fortunately, Yuta has a plan. It's not a good plan. Bad plan, actually. It's a very terrible plan. So, we're going to run to Serena, at which point Yuta's going to go outside to, quotation marks, take a phone call. At which point, he's going to disappear. But see, Yuta's a great plan, he's obviously been watching Yakuza speedruns, is to get drunk, waltz over to Little Asia, and, you know, because the place is made of wood, set the entire place on fire. With him in it. And Big Log. Because he thinks that if he is dead and Big Lo is dead, they won't come after Haruto. I don't know how that works. I don't think that's how that works. Yuta's an idiot.
That does not track for me, but
that's not how this works. That's not how this works in the slightest. And thankfully, this is the one phone call that we can actually skip in the game, and it actually teleports us forward, which is nice. Everyone in this bit is just a little bit stupid. Apart from Kiryu, who comes in and drop kicks the guy, which that's probably the best plan. So run back here, grab the sign, start spinning. Sue on the left-hand side there has the most HP here, but once you can take care of them, everybody else usually goes down nicely. Yin, if you'd like to. Thank you. And once that barricades take 5 hits, I lied. This one takes 3. As I said, there's always exceptions to the rule when it comes to Yakuza speedruns. That one is just 3 hits. In this one, take care of the guy with the large HP bar first before he becomes a problem. And take care of everybody else. Run on over again. 2-handed weapons, take care of these in 1 hit. Comes out with the X. So there's a bunch of enemies here. Yeah, the place is on fire. There's just a giant fire that they're chilling around. Unfortunate angle there. You can usually get 2 with 1 dash attack. And then one last guy here. Zeng. Even though the building's burning down, it's just chilling in his office. I don't think he's noticed the giant fire that is literally right outside. And so we're going to have to go back to the old-fashioned way because our EX is a little low. We're going to give Ed a fear of chairs. I'm just going to hit him with a chair twice. And that's Ed. There's the 3rd Ed fight and the last time we fight Ed. So once again, grab the chair, thankfully hit this barricade from the side. Hitbox is good. Head upstairs and find a unconscious Bigelow and Yuta. Not unconscious, but very much about to be. Unfortunately, Kiryu's kind of mad. Kiryu's kind of like, why don't you want to look after Haruto? Like, be a dad. This is not the way you do things. Very much paraphrasing for a lot of plot here. By Yuta. You want to know something fun about this room, actually? There is a bike under the floor.
What?
It sounds wild. So if you're in extreme heat, you have to be on a very precise point. If you're on an extremely precise point and then start like light attacking, you can get this bike, which obviously isn't fast for the run, but it's there. Don't know why there's a bike just under the floor, but it's there. You might also be wondering, why don't we just like cancel that QTE to let Yuta take damage? You don't have Yuta take damage. You basically take the pillar yourself, but you take damage from it. And I think it's like 2 or 3 seconds longer, that QT. I might be wrong, but anyway, that's the end of that. Bigelow kind of realizes, oh, time's up. So Bigelow gives us a code, or he's about to give us a code, which leads to the secret of Onomichi. He also tells us that one man has been guarding. Oh, hello, Jimmy Low. Don't get me started on that guy. That guy's the issue here. Bigelow kind of says about this one person that's been guarding the secret of Onomichi for pretty much their entire life, doing dirty work for the Iwami shipbuilders, aka the Yomei Alliance, and it is, of course, Patriarch Hirose. So, Jimmy Low, the actual deceased son of Bigelow, he decided that the Satrach should expand to Kamurocho by, setting fire to Little Asia. That was the initial fire, not this fire. This fire was Yuta. So both of Bigelow's son have set fire to Little Asia. One to get the Satrach into Kamurocho, and the other to get the Satrach out of Kamurocho. Great family. No daddy issues in the slightest in this series. None whatsoever. So with this, we're now going to head back to Hiroshima, back to Onomichi, to try and obviously sort out what the secret of Onomichi actually is. Save load there to get rid of the fight spawn that's here. Wouldn't be possible to get to the vending machines. You take the attack drink ahead because, oh look, there's a bunch of dudes. Surprise, it's a fight. This bit's actually kind of nice in every version past the base PS4 version, because when they ported this game to like Xbox and PC, they actually toned down the effects and the sound in this part. It used to be quite loud for this part, and there used to be like kind of bright flashing lights, not like flashing, but like really bright like kind of visual effects later on, but thankfully with the ports of this, they actually toned that down, which is nice. The issue here is the first enemy. The reason why Piscala didn't grab them is because for some reason you just can't interact with them at the start of the fight. You can punch them, can't grab them. And this guy, the guy in the suit, he doesn't have an infinite combo, but he has enough of a combo that because we have a piece of equipment that drops our defense by like 20 to 25, he hurts. That guy has a gun. He's kind of waited intentionally for him to start attacking so that he wouldn't dodge, because he loves to dodge out of the way. And then we're just going to deal with everybody else. Leaving that guy to last, because that's the way we have to go. We have to go to the Hirose family office, but unfortunately the other paths are blocked. This bit doesn't matter if you get into a fight spawn, because this isn't actually an area trigger. We usually describe triggers for the cutscenes in most runs. I don't think I have in this run at this point. Area trigger, if you get to a specific area, the next cutscene or the next piece will start. Confirmation trigger is stuff like, you know, taxis, doors, etc. Like, you have to actually interact with them. You can't interact with them if you're in the middle of a fight. So those ones, you are not allowed to be in the middle of a fight. Area triggers, you are allowed to be in the middle of a fight. Nagamo, for the 4th time in this run, the boss you fight the most. He's the tutorial boss. Then you fight him in the same square as you did before, like 15 minutes later. Then you fight him in baseball, like 5 minutes later. And now here. Using the big electric scooter just because it's in the way. Alright, with that, Nagamo's now calmed down. He now accepts what we've been saying about, obviously, Patriarch Hirose. Now he's going to deal with everybody here. The first group, a nice throw works, and then for this last guy, just a nice little kick. And hopefully everyone else deals with the guy. Thank you. The biggest danger in these fights might surprise you. His name is Takashiro. Yes, your ally Takashiro. Because the issue with Takashiro is the Takashiro's attacks can stun you. Yep, your ally's attacks can stun you, so you kind of want to be away from the guy. So, for this bit, Bigelow gave us basically an SD card with a whole bunch of letters and numbers on it. You're supposed to walk around here, try and figure out how to figure out the secret of Onomichi. These poem stones, they're actually in the real-life Onomichi. They, basically, we get the stamina drink here because we run, obviously, a lot here. Their first official, like, actual translation was because of this game, which is really sick. So, in this game, there's 9 of them. Surprise. That's the code. In real life, I think there's like 20 odd of them. But yeah, no, that's a really neat little fact about this bit. There's not much to be said about this bit, unfortunately. There's a lot running around. The person that tips you off about these stones is that guy right there. The one just to the left. He's the one that kind of, like, points out directly, oh, funny how there's, like, 9 of these poem stones and, you know, they have all these words on them that you should probably pay attention to. So, yeah, he's the guy. That man right there. But, obviously, if you know ahead of time, you can look at them now. Unfortunately, despite the fact that, obviously, we've been in Onomichi, like, a long time, and you can look at them earlier in the game, like, beforehand. Unfortunately, looking at them earlier in the game doesn't count towards this bit, so that's why we don't look at them earlier, we look at them now. Some of these stones are in really awkward spots. Some of them are in, like, really, really awkward spots. Like the next one. So we're going to bypass the sub-story again. Didn't mention at the time, this sub-story here is based on The Girl Who Let Through Time. Very similar story where that schoolgirl there comes from the future. No, she doesn't. Maybe she does. No, she doesn't. We might ghost at some point. Right? Yakuza 6 has got some good sub-stories. Also, that should actually be mentioned. Yakuza 6, everything is voiced. Everything. Down to sub-stories, down to all the story. That's why there's, like, less sub-stories in this game, is because, like, everything has been voiced. And actually, that's something that affects the speedrun. In every Dragon Engine game but this one, when you have text to go through, it's quicker to mash R1 and X if it's not skippable, like, with the start button, of course. But in this game, because of the fact that it has a whole bunch of, like audio dialogue, it's not actually faster to mash. It's faster to just hold R1X. That's kind of nice. In this bit, we are hoping that there is a taxi ahead of us, because that will be a god taxi right here. There's a couple of god taxis you can get in this bit. There is a taxi right there if we can get to the stone before the light turns green. I'll show you, it drags you back in. Very nice. This allows us to just quickly go down to the bottom part of the map, avoiding the road walking down. We would also like one more god taxi. Here would be great. Another gold taxi here would be great, but it's not looking likely. You have to run backwards from this last poem stone because you are going to get a text box that says, hey, found all the code, and like all the cars are going to run past. Otherwise, that's no cars at all. Oh well. Oh well. So, heading over to the Hirose family office now that we found all 9 poem stones. The words from all of these poem stones are going to lead to a grave. Yamano Dodai's grave. I believe. Yes, that's the fixer. Might be the fixer. I might be getting my old men confused. We're about to get into the part of the plot that is old men rule the world. Surprise. Piscan's going to get heat actions to max at this point, so... I did Yamano Dodai. Nice. I didn't get my people mixed up. So, basically, there is a secret ruling of people that, you know, control politics and all that jazz. It's a RGG politics plot. So, essentially, we're about to go make them angry. Real angry. Because they don't want the secret of Onamichi getting out. It's so very important politically that it doesn't get out. Of course, we're going to go and reveal the secret. Of course we are. This is the last time we can hope for a god taxi. One here is really, really nice because you don't have to run all the way to the taxi by Saigo, but unfortunately not. We use the minimap there just to look ahead of us to see whether we can see a taxi or not. And with that, we're going to go to the docks again and get taken to our next set piece. Not the last set piece. We're in the penultimate chapter, but we have a big set piece in the next chapter. As well as this set piece, which is also very large. Yakuza 6 has good set pieces. Yakuza 6 has very good set pieces. It actually has more set pieces than most Yakuza games. A bunch of dudes. I guess what we're about to do. Grab this guy because he has a large HP bar. That'll take him out. And take care of hopefully most of the enemy. Was that a sledgehammer thrown? Wow, that's impressive. This guy again, large HP bar. Everyone got it. That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. Throw everybody here. And then just do a bit cleanup. Hopefully most of the enemies are quite weak at this point. Your attack buff is important for this bit. I want it to last as long as possible. Running up the stairs here, a whole bunch of dudes following us. I'm going to jump across this crane and just, you know, shimmy on over. I like the amount of set pieces this game has. They're actually good set pieces as well. They're really memorable. A lot of them are quite longer than a lot of the normal Yakuza set pieces as well. There's like a real, kind of like thought process out there that like this game doesn't have as much content as the others, and yeah, it's lacking a little bit compared to like some of the other more polished ones, and it's missing like top part of the map. But like in terms of like the actual story stuff, this game is loaded on it, whether you like it or not, of course. So this walkway is kind of a pain because there's so many enemies here, and like when you try and grab one of them and throw them, they can just bounce off the side or bounce off other people. Lunge over the ladder so that we don't have to grab onto that. Go down, which is good. Grab the Stallion XX for safety and for later. This bit kind of sucks because like there's a whole bunch of enemies here, and then you can see at the very back there's a whole bunch of enemies back there. Remember what we said about this being genuinely kind of scary? So, reminder that Piscala's defense has been lowered because of one of the pieces of equipment that we've got, which breaks the soft cap of attack. That's why we have spare bentos. In your EX mode, you actually have immortality. Outside of your EX mode, you do not. So Piscala is very precariously balancing low HP at this point. The end of this run gets very hard because like enemies do start to like two-shot you. Like it does get very hard. You do genuinely have to be very careful here. So in this room, want to avoid the bags that are on the floor because the bags are actually really frustrating. They create like a giant dust cloud that stun you. Other than that, good old barrel. And we're going to run forward down this long corridor, chasing Tagshiro. For this next bit, just going to go ahead. You're supposed to figure out how to progress. It should be pretty obvious if you remember Shangri-La. Broken wall at the back, sledgehammer next to it. This bit's scary. This bit's very scary. We need a knife. And unfortunately, these knife enemies can pretty much one-shot us. So, EX to make sure that we don't die here. Go down to 1 HP, that's fine. So, can hit all these enemies with the knife attack as much as possible. We want to come out of this fight with heat and also with a knife. Very important. Extra stamina and XX there as a just in case. But with this, the attack buff's still on. And most importantly, obviously some heat. If you're squeamish, I'd look away from this next bit. Like, obviously, the Yakuza game is very violent, but I am going to make this warning here of if you are squeamish, look away right now. Comes a guy with a sword. We're carrying this knife, and we're going to put it somewhere where it doesn't belong. Yeah, ouch. Yeah, that doesn't belong there. Not where knives go. So with that, we're now going to carry on to the last bit. This bit is kind of unfortunate because, much like the hotel earlier, if we didn't have problems or like a big drop here, we'd probably be able to grab one of the barrels up ahead and be able to take it with us. But unfortunately, that's not a thing we can do. So I'm gonna grab this cone instead. Shadowless Infinity is a full HP heal as a just in case, which, yep, I agree with PS Kala using it there for marathon safety because this next guy, I'm gonna start attacking on the left. He has a pin in the backside. Soma here. Hit attack, get rid of him, because Soma, literally, you can get like 2 attacks off against him, and then he guards, and then he can just demolish you. And again, grab enemies, throw enemies. Really good in this game. Ooh, unfortunate. Again, large lads have that good old property of being able to, you know, drop kick everybody. So remember when we said Beach Keshi had haha funny grandpa role? No. Beach Keshi has obviously played a lot of mafia roles in his time, and now he's a Tonbri. Gonna lurch over with a knife. This doesn't look very intimidating, trust me it is. Thankfully, with the triple light into double strong, we can just demolish Hirosei's HP bar. This part. We just have to wait in this part. We're just gonna run around a little bit. Not much you can do to make this bit go forward. We are gonna have to do 3 QTEs. Well, this kitchen knife like flies in from nowhere. Hoping that Piscala shows off in the last part. There is a fun little thing in the last part where if you run backwards, spooky ghost. The ghost of Christmas past. For some reason, that's like the spawn point of where Hirosei should be, but he doesn't exist. So he's spooky ghost. Fortunately, we can't finish this fight. Nice, good. We need to see this QTE and goodbye to Hirosei. Nice fight. Very nice fight. You are at the whim of that QTE, unfortunately. Sometimes you can't get that QT when you're in your EX mode for some reason. I don't know why. It's the same with Nagamo 4, where for some reason, sometimes the fight doesn't progress if you're in EX. So, it is what it is. Then we get 45 minutes of exposition about a boat. So, literally, the secret of Onomichi is the Yamato Mark II. And if you know your maritime politics, your wartime politics, boy, that boat shouldn't exist. That's an important boat. Essentially, the Iwami shipbuilders, the Ome Alliance, they have been using the Heihaizi to secretly build this boat. It is very, very much political. And because of that, the Fixer, the people, the Daidoji group, that basically run everything behind the scenes, kind of upset that Kiryu let their big little secret spoil. So at this point, there's now going to be a hit out onto killing Kiryu. Thankfully, Somiya's kind of a good guy at this point. Somiya kind of comes along and says, you know, this ain't your fault. So he's going to give us a bit of a warning. And unfortunately, the Hirosei family are in a spot of bother. So for like the 3rd time in this game, we're going to get a little bit of an Onomichi set piece. I'm not surmising the 45 minutes about the boat. Just putting that out there. The boat. The big boat. Important boat, apparently. You see it in the background when you go see Somiya, actually. This guy's firing a rocket in the middle of the day. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. So this next set of fights is somewhat random. There's like nasty elements that can go wrong in these fights. Essentially, would you believe that dash attack is very good, but so is throwing enemies. So ideally we don't get the bike, or we don't hit the bike with Mimura there. If you look at the top left, that's unfortunate. So the reason why the hits here are important, if you have a weapon with durability left in your hands, in every transitional period in this fight, you'll actually get that weapon fully healed. So that's why having that bike is really nice. It's back, by the way. It does respawn in this bit. Unfortunately, there is an enemy behind us that also has a very large HP bar. So if you've lost the bike, you can re-get it at this point. Take care of the boss in one hit. That usually doesn't run down to us, but he's staying up. And with that, good old dash attack. Take care of everybody else. With that, this is the final time we're in Onamichi. So, even though there is a thing on the taxi that says taxi to Kamurocho, you have to do it via your apartment. It's kind of the game's way of saying, hey, this is our story trigger to move forward. Other than that, if you just take the top option, you can go do, like, you know, side content in Kamurocho, come back here and do side content, etc. But by using this option here, we are no longer going back to Onamichi. This is technically one of our points in a return. Technically. Not strictly true. Technically. Oh, happy news! Haruka's awake. Finally. And Haruto and Yuta are also there. And Akiyama! Akiyama actually has a decent part to play in this game, which is nice. So, we've got to go deal, obviously, with everything that's going on in regards to whatever the heck is happening with the Tojo clan with Sagai and Somiya. So, I'll take CC Lemon. Maxed out attack at this point, maxed out vending machine. That'll last a good couple of minutes. It will not last until the end, unfortunately, but it will last a very long time. And with this, it's a Yakuza game. We need a Millennium Tower set piece. Roll it. So, once again, we fight the Tojo clan. What a surprise. And again, throwing enemies is very good. You just take care of most of the enemies in this first part by throwing them. Again, your teammates are actually really useful in this part. One guy at the back is being a pain. Yeah. Nice double hit there. In this bit, the nice thing is the allies will actually deal with everybody up here, and we can go and deal with the enemies down here. We don't actually strictly need to deal with any of the enemies up top. I think there's like one enemy you have to, but the nice thing is, actually our allies should deal with them. Whilst PS kind of goes and deals with everybody down here. Unfortunately, they're all following us. So, PS Car's going after some of the nastier ones to begin with, and as you can see, even though there was an enemy left alive, we still go to the next phase of this fight. Good old dash attacks. Very good dash attacks. With that, we're going to do the RGG thing of half of our party stays behind. Us, Akiyama, and Yuta are going to go forward. So, in here, dash attack them. Then I'm going to kick this guy. We used to have stupid strats there. Some idiot came up with, hey, it's me. Where we used to grab that guy's grenade and throw it at those two. Wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. Speaking of grenades, a bunch of enemies in this part have grenades, and the two at the back have rocket launchers, which they'll continually fire kind of forward and towards you until you get, like, a bit close. Thankfully, again, EXing or going to our EX heat will stop them from knocking us backwards. That guy exploded himself. Cool. I was hoping that would connect, but unfortunately not. For the double doors, going to do a couple of dash attacks, take care of, hopefully, this guy with a grab strong, because they will guard. They are very, very annoying, that enemy. And Yuta's going to do something stupid. Surprise, again. Going to walk forward without looking. Yep.
次はどっちだ？動くなユタ。じっとしてろ。すぐに片付ける。少し我慢。
Thankfully, we got a good couple of two-handed weapons in this room, a couple of seats and a table. Ideally, we get the table because the table obviously has a bit more range to it. If you get lucky, sometimes you get all three in the first hit, but that does depend on the person in the back and if they run forward. The nice thing is we at least take care of the mini-boss enemy in there because they can be a problem. Now we get a wonderful reference to Yakuza 3. Even Kiryu laments about this. Of course, a man in a helicopter with a minigun. Of course it is. So yeah, they actually like lowered the intensity of the flashing bits here. It was actually kind of rough on base PS4. It was actually really bright, but thankfully they've toned that down. In this bit, I'm going to be running forward, taking care of that guy, and then very importantly taking care of the guy with the machine gun, because the guy with the machine gun kind of sucks. Running up to this barricade, which we can't actually interact with, and wait for the helicopter to bust it down and run through. Because you can stick to the right-hand side, that makes it so that you are alive, you don't get any hits from the helicopter. We're going to be playing around with the helicopter and its attacks in a little bit. And extreme heat is going to come very much in handy. This guy decided not to wake up today. Interesting. Grab the plate. The left-hand side healing item there is a toughness CZ that you can grab if you need some healing. There's a couple of enemies here. Some of them, as you can see, with large HP bars. They are very frustrating. This love seat is very good because you can just use this to obviously clear out a whole bunch of enemies. And the motor here being the one with the largest HP bar. They're getting taken out. So during this bit, we're going to have the helicopter constantly come back and forth. I'm going to run back in here to grab another weapon. Going to get dragged forward once the helicopter has made its pass by. All three of these. Fun fact, this bit is different in the PC version than the console version. The console version, this guy fires the rocket immediately. But thankfully, in the PC version, there's a bit of a delay. So you can do what PS Skyline just did. Grab the grenade. Grenade important for the next bit. We technically have some grenade strats left. That guy's got a machine gun. Machine gun enemies are very nasty, especially with our lower defense. Throw the grenade backwards, that will kill the enemies behind us. It won't kill these three, obviously, but this conveniently placed evil will. Because PS Color has HP, they're going to fail this QTE. It does damage, but it's a bit quicker. This bit can be done in two different ways. You can get very, very lucky and push them both towards the wall. Oh, I wonder... Nah, dodge out of the way. If you get lucky, you can actually, like, cleave them and hit the... Okay, hit the barricade at the same time, but because PS Color is already in EX, PS Color can just run through the helicopter bullets. PS Color intentionally deactivated extreme heat there, so they can save it for the start of the next fight. Fun facts about the base PS4 version of this video game. There is a phone call that's supposed to occur here from Sugai. Fun fact, base PS4, sometimes it never loads in. Therefore, you are soft locked. Congratulations, you just lost 7 minutes. No joke. One of the most infuriating things about running this back on PS4. Not a problem with any other version of the game. Time to fight Somia. Third time. Super cool fight, super cool theme. There is speed tech in this fight. Hopefully it works. So, starting with a charge attack. Puts up a little bit of EX. Doing the triple light into double strong to make sure that we get rid of most of Somia's HP. PS Color is attacking immediately so that they can do the rest of the HP damage. And then obviously run out of EX that way. This... okay at this HP value? Does this actually kill you? I don't know how much damage this does. So we have Somiya skip. So fun fact, this is a very long QTE, which if you fail, that doesn't actually do that much damage. If you fail, sometimes you get put behind the bar. Goodbye, Somiya. Yep. Sometimes for some reason that won't work and it won't do it like that. But yeah, no, just bye. It just cuts out like half of that cutscene and like that long heat attack, and it saves you like 30 to 45 seconds or something like that. It's like a decent amount of time. Pretty good. Anyway, it's time to clear up our final loose ends. Gonna go fight the final 2 bosses. Thankfully, a whole bunch of healing items as just in case, because we have low HP. We would like a little bit of heat to start this next fight. Drink our CC Lemon. One on the run. And then we get our final 2 boss fights. Introducing Koshimizu 2, which, fun fact, the only boss in this game to technically get 2 phases. So as you've probably seen, because it's an early Dragon Engine game, no one's had the usual, you know, fancy-colored HP bars from the previous RGG games. They deal with that in this fight by having you fight Koshimizu twice. Legitimately 2 different forms. So, goodbye Koshimizu phase 1. Yeah, he has a knife. Actually, Nagamo takes the hit for us. And say hello to Koshimizu phase 2. Triple lights into double strong, catches him enough, and that's the end of phase 2. Next up is the final fight. Always goes the same way, which is nice. Nagamo doing well to stand up after that. So super long fight intro incoming. All of our friends are now here to help. This is Whammy Jr., by the way. And had daddy issues and decided to have aspirations taken over by the company by, you know, killing his old man. You know. Daddy issues in my Yakuza game. Couldn't be a thing. Impossible. So time will be on the completion of this fight, which will be after the QTE. Or like a 1 punch after the QTE, I should say. So, triple light into double strong. Goodbye, Iwami's HP. We need to see his mid-fight QTE. This is actually a damage QTE. It doesn't look like it is, but it does do damage. So refills your EX. And time will be on the last hit after this cutscene. Time. GG. Good run. Good run. Good fight. It's just him sprawled out on the floor. Just going. Yeah, that's PS Kala doing 6. PS Kala has done a lot of work on this run, like an absolute immense amount of work on this run to get it to the point of where it is. Like, I think the majority of the strats in this game are all by PS Kala at this point. And you can see there the attack broken the soft cap of 200 because of the equipment that we've got. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, that was awesome.
If PS Kala has anything you want me to relay or anything like that, go follow PS Kala. They do this. They do Lost Judgment. They do LED. Yeah, thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you so much for the run, PS Kala, and thank you for the commentary, Froob. I'm going to vamp a little bit while we wait to see if PS Kala has anything he wants you to relay. So as a reminder, everybody, if you're ever on YouTube watching, I don't know, this is a terrible way to start that one off, but if you're ever on YouTube watching, be sure to press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content. Starts 7 p.m. Eastern on the weekdays, and except for Friday where it starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, and on the weekends it'll start at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, it's been a long day. I've not been talking as much as you, but it's still a long day. I
hope you're ready for another 4 hours of fun, because up next, Catalyst Tom with Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, I'm certainly ready. It doesn't look like...
I'm not. I need a sandwich.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you go get a sandwich. It doesn't look like Pascal has anything he wants you to relay, so thank you both again. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the last run of the day.